sorts, if it may be, at least under President Murmu. A governors' conference has been convened, and it's interesting to see what the agenda or points of discussion in this have been. And this was, of course, attended by the Prime Minister as well. Now, their discourse has been around interaction with public, and that should be quite publicly. And to engage with civil society, emphasizing on revival of what was termed as governors' otherwise very proactive roles. According to the statement, the agenda of the conference includes implementation of 3 criminal laws, reforms in higher education and accreditation of universities, which incidentally have been the center of several state versus governors standoffs, even under Prime Minister Modi. In fact, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal are just a few states where appointment of governors as Chancellor and exercising the powers have been a huge slugfest, with Kerala Assembly in fact unanimously passing a resolution for removal of appointment of governor as Chancellor. While state versus governors is not a new standoff in Indian democracy at all, what is unprecedented though is the numerous opposition-ruled states that have, under the Modi regime, moved the Supreme Court. It's been a battery of them, quite frankly. And the details are up on your screen as well. In fact, it was in such a landmark case that the Supreme Court last year in November, while hearing Aam Aadmi Party's Punjab government's petition against Banwari Lal Purohit, had some strong words. That said, governors cannot be at liberty to keep bills pending indefinitely without any action. The Supreme Court has said, while emphasizing that the unelected head of the state is entrusted with constitutional powers, but what cannot be used to thwart the normal course of lawmaking by state legislatures. A little bit of soul-searching by governors is needed, is what the Supreme Court had stated. Political rival who has caused a constitutional deadlock, parallel government, attempts to paralyze elected governments' functioning are some of the allegations that have come up against governors in recent past. It's of course an age-old debate, but has it seen a renewed form under the Prime Minister Modi government and his continuing terms in different avatars, of course, but more so, the opposition claims the Governors' Conference is just set to open a Pandora's box.
No, Centre is saying that where there is non-BJP government, the governor will try to disturb the governmental process by non-BJP government. That is the thing. It's a direct interference.
I strongly oppose this. As a governor, as a public office, a governor should go to the people through print media or television media, not through social media. Social media will reach out to only a few people who can afford for that. And when in Tamil Nadu, if you have at least 3 crore mobile phones, only 50 lakhs to 60 lakh mobile phones will have the facility to receive social media matters. The remaining people may not, could not receive because they have a very normal telephone. So a governor who is holding the high office should only meet the people, talk to the people through print media or television media, not through social media.
According to sources, what's being said is that governors must not only be seen as spectators, they must be seen as taking stands and stepping in wherever necessary. Binay Singh joins us. He's an author. I'm also being joined by Manish Bariyar, who's a political analyst, Karuna Nandi, who's a senior Supreme Court advocate, Vivek Srivastava, who's a political analyst, as well as Advocate Mahima Singh, who's a spokesperson for Congress. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Let me just first start with Advocate Mahima Singh. Advocate Mahima Singh, BJP is saying, listen, it's a governors' conference. There's nothing which has happened which should be sending alarm bells anywhere. Why is the opposition hyperventilating?
जय हिंद। शहर उजाड़े खेल रचा के कठपुतली के साथ लश्कर के सालार तमाशागर भी होते हैं। Kamran Nafees puts it across like this, Sneha, because you see, the BJP does not believe in governance, and it is pretty clear by now. It's been 10 years of their near anarchical rule. And we know what it believes in. What the BJP believes in is puppetry. It believes in puppetization, in objectification of the constitutional instruments. And this move is straight out of the BJP's playbook of anarchy. We all know that governments are executive head of a state, and the executive head of the state acts on the advice of Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister. But here what the central government is trying to do is that they want to micromanage the governors who are executive heads of the state. And most of the governors today across India are former RSS pracharaks or related to the, ideologue parent body of the BJP. And that's pretty clear. But we have seen the instances of Satyapal Malik, and we know what happened in Pulwama. We have also seen the example of R.N. Ravi in Tamil Nadu over the last couple of years, and we know the kind of conflict that erupted. So the question today that faces all of us, Sneha, in this sort of a directive from the central government that's also trying to use the president's office as a puppet, the question that faces all of us is that, is the BJP trying to pit the constitution against the people of India? Because we know a democracy is by the people, for the people, of the people. And in this kind of a directive, they are straight away pitting the governors against the people, against the elected legislature of the state. And as the
Why
Supreme
are you
Court has
saying,
held in the
with
past,
a conference like this that's happened, where even there's, I mean, where officially even the Prime Minister has said, let this be a bridge between the centre and the states. Why are you saying that this is pitting the governor against the constitution?
I tell you why. Because more than a handful of their public representatives before this general election had reiterated again and again that the BJP wants 400 par because it wants to change the constitution. Now that they fell far short of it, they could not change the constitution. So they changed their modus operandi. They actually thought, why not, pit these governors, the constitutional heads, against the states? Because that is what they did in Uttarakhand in 2016, you would remember. We have seen over the last 10 years how the governments have been stable governments in states. Madhya Pradesh, for instance, you remember right in the thick of COVID, a stable sitting government was disrupted, dismantled at the behest of the BJP by using the puppet of their governors that they had appointed. And I'm saying this with utmost responsibility.
Okay, let me just get in Manish Barya to respond.
So,
okay, Manish Barya, you're hearing what Ms. Advocate Mahima Singh has said. Mr. Manish, let me just ask you this one question, adding to what Ms. Mahima has said. The big question here is, do you realize, does the BJP sense that it's possibly unprecedented in which there's even a legal battle that seems to be now waging in courts against what seems to be a jurisdictional excess allegedly by governors? Strong words by chief ministers of the opposition ruled states saying they want to run a parallel government, collapse the elected government representatives. And this is not just the political opposition saying, even the Supreme Court has not in as much words, but has made some very, very strong judgments as well.
Yeah. Good evening to you and good evening to my co-panelists and all the viewers. I think public memory is very short, and especially for the respected spokesperson from the Congress. I have a counter question to ask. Who has dismissed the maximum number of elected governments in the country? And the answer is very clear. How many times Article 356 has been used by Congress? And especially if you go back to the history a bit, not too far away, right, in 80s and 70s, countless number of times. You can look at emergency also, but governors have been part of the entire political intrigue, you can say, for dismissing governments. Now, I'm not saying that BJP what it is doing and the government is doing is absolutely. I'm fine with that. My own personal opinion is that the government, a very good. I think I would agree with what Prime Minister said, that the governor has to be a bridge between state government and the central government. And I think as long as it is there in the right spirit, which obviously Prime Minister means to. Sometimes on ground situation might be very different. But I don't think Congress party can ever blame this government of really outreach as far as the government is concerned, when it is full of dark history as far as the way governors have really conducted themselves. Now, having said that, I would definitely agree that...
No, but let's just look at these years that have passed by with what's happening in the court, Mr. Manish Bariyar. Sure, the history has it, and we've debated that as much, and you've brought that, and we've given you the platform to say as well. But let's look into what's happening now.
Absolutely. I would say that some of the cases are not very, they are not really covering themselves with any glory as such. And I think this conference could be a very good trend setter to really give a message to all the governors as well as to the state governments that you need to cooperate with each other. That's very important. And at the same time, I would say that this conference can really take this entire conversation forward. And if there is a good, very good conversation between governor as well as the elected state government, I think things will be good. We have seen to the contrary that a lot of central government schemes, state governments are rejecting, and that's also something which is a matter of concern. And I think the central government is well within its right. We'll come to that.
That's interesting because there's also reasons to why that's happening. But allow me to just very quickly go over to Karuna Nandi at this point. Thank you very much for joining us. My first question, this whole governors versus states really is not a new debate. It's been going on since the democracy of India has been going on, since governments have been coming and going and all of that. But nonetheless, there have been some very, very strong judgments by the court as well. Of course, there's constitutional guidelines, very clear mandate for the governors. Not always very clear, particularly when it comes to the discretionary powers. But Ms. Karuna Nandi, when the agenda says, don't be a spectator, see as somebody who is stepping in wherever required, be more active on social media, how does one really look at this? Because fair enough, this is a very different era from what it was, say, 2 decades ago. But it's also politically a very distinct era as well.
I think we must look at this in the context of what's going on. So you have the Delhi government and the union government tussle over the constitution. Now, the Delhi government is not quite a union territory and it's not quite a state. It lies somewhere in between under Article 239AA. Essentially what was happening is that through the Lieutenant Governor, the Delhi government said that a number of its functions were being taken over. So it went to the High Court, the Delhi government, and lost. They went to the Supreme Court and succeeded on a number of counts, including the fact that the bureaucrats must assist the Delhi government, right? The Delhi government bureaucrats must assist the Delhi government. And of course, the union government bureaucrats assist the union government. What happened after that? Did the union government agree to that judgment and hands off the bureaucrats? No, it didn't. It passed an ordinance and essentially took over the functioning of the bureaucrats. Now, what is a state government to do without its bureaucrats? It's very difficult, right? This matter, unfortunately, has been pending in the Supreme Court for about a year. And it goes to the basic structure of the Constitution. Because while the governors are legal and actually ceremonial heads, the governors aren't really meant to do so much. They are meant to act on the aid and the advice of the ministers. They are meant to give their assent to bills, and I quote the Constitution of India, as soon as possible. Right? So basically, when we have a federal structure where the state legislature that we all vote for, represents the mandate of the people. And let us be clear that in our country, though we are all Indians, Tamil Nadu is very different from Uttar Pradesh, which is very different from Meghalaya, which is very different from Gujarat, right? And so in such a situation, all bills passed by the state legislature cannot be indirectly curtailed and basically rendered, futile by the actions of the governor, who's a union government appointee. Now, why does one say this? Because in the cases that have been taken to the Supreme Court by the Bengal and the West Bengal and the Kerala governments, this is what they are saying, and the evidence is therefore to say there are a number of bills that are just pending with the governor. I mean, far from as soon as possible. It's just, they have just been there for a long, long time. And these don't have anything to do with center-state relations, right? So the thing is that Article 200 gives the governor this, the governor is interpreting it as leeway, but when it says as soon as possible, and when the state legislatures have been granted the democratic authority to do their work, to set up a conference of governors with the alleged mandate, and I haven't seen the mandate for that conference, but to have an alleged mandate to reach out to the people independently and to run the union functions from their governor's mansion. If this is true, then it does smack of the possibility of a parallel state.
Okay, Binay Singh, do you want to respond to that? I mean, let's look at this, Mr. Binay Singh. What has Kerala government said? Kerala government said it very strongly that they just want to thwart an elected government. That's what the governor is trying to do. You had in Tamil Nadu, you had a situation where there was literally a standoff between the government and the governor to literally the term that nothing was moving. You've had it in West Bengal, you've had it in Telangana earlier, where the bills are just not passed. And these are bills that have been passed in are not signed. They're not approved. And these are bills that have been passed by assemblies, which are the mansion, the temple of democracy, which is nothing short of representatives who have been elected by people. So when you have a conference like this, but not a mention of something like this, on the other hand, cases that have in an unprecedented manner been in the court, what does really one make out of this?
Thank you, Sneha. We are debating about two things here. One is the role of the LG in the union territories and the role of a governor in the state. So let's not mix up both these issues. The role of LG is different from the role of a governor. The role of LG has a bigger mandate because the union territory are very, special kind of, they are not full-fledged states. But the second thing, we are discussing the role of a governor here. I am asking a simple question. That does the power of the governors has been added or has been increased or has been amended in the BJP's tenure? Or you are saying the misuse of the power of governors? The Congress today is crying foul. What did they do when they were in power? I remember in 2009, in Jharkhand, they were having the 10 seats out of 81 and just 8 seats out of 81, 9 seats out of 81 and 10 seats out of 243 in Bihar. And they created a mess over there. So they are not in a capacity, they don't qualify to give a moral lecture on the misuse of power of the governors. But the second thing that you are discussing over here.
So therefore it should continue?
One more issue, just a second. That why the governor are made chancellors? So the question again arises, does the governor acting as chancellors, it has been amended or this power has been given in the BJP government? No, it's not. These are the powers which has been, vested in the governor's position that are all in the government Congress tenure. And let me give you a single example that the governors are made chancellors so that the universities can, be free from political influence. And not just governors. Now you'll question the President of India also.
Is it?
They have also the same powers when it comes to central universities. The President of India, they can, visit and they can interfere in the central universities. They can make inspections.
Okay, it's
So
interesting
you are
that you say this. Let me just go across to Vivek Srivastava. Vivek Srivastava, you come from a state where literally the powers of governor as a chancellor have been challenged, have been opposed by the assembly in a resolution. But it's not just one side. You also have the allegations of political contravention, political intervention, even by the government for that matter. So where does this lie? You say that the governor is overstepping in his jurisdiction. The allegations also go around for the government as well. So where does this stay?
I think the biggest culprit is the central government right now, including the Honorable Prime Minister of India and the Home Minister. I think this conference would have been better if the Prime Minister had, if the President of India had chaired it alone, and we did not have the photo ops of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. At least a message would have been given that it is the President who is in control and she is not ornamental in the control of the governors. Number one, the Prime Minister of India and the Home Minister could have been invitees for a few hours and they could have shared the views. But here, that's the first part. Now this is giving a very clear message that who runs the show. It is the Prime Minister and the Home Minister who are running the show. And by chance in the constitution, the governors are being appointed and working via the president. That is why she is sitting over there. This is the message that is being given and that is what any Indian citizen is going to interpret. This is the first fault. Secondly, as far as Kerala is concerned, Tamil Nadu is concerned, Telangana is concerned. Telangana, even MLC's nominations have been cancelled. The governor says, I will not agree. If you want to give me this list of MLCs, I am not very happy with it. In Kerala, Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan was reprimanded by the court strictly and said, Bhaiya, finance bill for 2 years, you have been sitting on it. What are you trying to do? Then he says, I am the chancellor and the teachers, they are going to be according to me. The curriculum, he tried to interfere. So, I mean, when you start doing it, then the intentions of the central government or the party in power is that let us try to destabilize whatever is left of the opposition states and try to create a situation of anarchy over there. Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar, who was an attendee of who also attended this particular conference, when he was the governor of West Bengal, he, along with Mr. Babul Supriyo, the member parliament of BJP at that time, went to Jadavpur University and created a ruckus. What are you doing with the member parliament of BJP in a particular university? He had no answers. Okay, so I mean, it is not the question of rules and regulations. It is also the questions of the intentions. Are the intentions of the central government very clear that they respect the federal structure of the Indian Union or not? So that is what the debate has to be. And plus, rightly pointed out by the Congress spokesperson that the background of majority of the governors is from the Sangh. And they already have very close ties with the central government functioning. So they are not independent governors functioning and reporting to the President of India. Instead, they are governors who are reporting to the Prime Minister of India and a particular party with whom they have had affiliations. And this is creating controversies.
Do you want to respond to what Mr. Vivek is saying? It's interesting because he's saying it's adding to the problem of perception.
No, it's quite laughable. So what do you think the governors during Congress regime, they were coming from some other parties or what? Or they were coming from...
you talk about the BJP regime.
They were all
Please don't talk about the Congress regime.
Isn't it? So,
for BJP regime ki baat kariye na. Why are you going to Congress time and again? Whenever we ask questions to the BJP, it goes back to the Congress rule. You talk about your tenure.
So it's quite laughable. I don't know on what pretext and context they are talking about all these things. It's very natural for BJP
the court is also laughable when they reprimand Arif Mohammad Khan.
And there is nothing wrong in being from RSS as such, isn't it? RSS is a pretty respectable organization. Every time it works for the welfare of the country. And if there is somebody from RSS, what's wrong? It is there. They are citizens of the country. They are eminent people, isn't it? We have an example in Bihar where President Kovind was, he was a governor in Bihar. And even when central government was in opposition to Nitish Kumar himself proposed his name. So there are some very good examples of, opposition appointed governors. They really conducting themselves with a lot of dignity and they conducting the affairs of the state very nicely. I think it's up to the individual governor also, really, how do they take it forward? And we have had instances of many, many Congress government governors who have really acted in a very shameful manner. I need not give the list of all these because it's not so really important out here. So I don't think this blame game is really important. What is important is the way forward. And the activism, as far as governor is concerned, I think it is it's pretty much required as far as the current era goes. Our
No, but would
Supreme
you
Court,
agree? Would you agree, Mr. Barrier, at a
we are
time
not,
when
some
there's,
kind of activism.
I mean, let's face it, there are not many times that multiple states at a given point of time under a particular government would have gone to the Supreme Court. That's a first.
See,
that's not happened before. You've had one odd state, one odd instance, but look at it, it's a battery of opposition rule states that have gone to the Supreme Court at the same time. So is there essentially a perception problem, and that's what's really triggered with what's happened today in the conference, or what's happening currently? The conference is not over.
Can I add something? Even a lot of state governments have not covered themselves with a lot of glory.
Please.
The way they have treated governors very badly. They are the first citizen of that particular state. If you really insult them, what do you expect in return? Do you expect garlands from them? If you insult them the way they have been insulted, I need not say
why
has
will
happened
somebody
in
insult
West
a governor
Bengal,
unless there is animosity?
And we have seen that in Tamil Nadu also. Verbal attacks, direct attacks.
Okay, let me just get an Advocate Mahima Singh. She's been raising her hands for a very long time. Advocate Mahima Singh, so here's, where does this begin and where does this end for, again, as we say, most of the times, the joke is on the voters and the citizens. Between the centre saying governors are being disrespected, between the states saying it's a collapse of the government, where's the middle way? And I don't think the conference today is being seen really as a middle way anyway.
Sneha, first of all, I'm sure the viewers of your show are wondering today, where is the BJP spokesperson? And if the BJP spokesperson is not there, then why are there two representatives inclined strongly towards the BJP, masqueraded as political analysts on your show today? And they're trying to put up a case that it's all right if all the appointees as governors are RSS pracharaks or, from that ideological background. It's not all right. And I want to ask of these political analysts, when do you remember was it that the governor appointments were so politically motivated, as in, in the plain sight, you see that there's no other merit for the appointment of these governors apart from being from a certain ideology. Also, another very relevant question, because we're talking about the sanctity of highest offices, of the highest constitutional offices today. When was it in the history that a president's position was so undermined? I mean, the parliament was so, lavishly inaugurated twice, Sneha. But the Honorable President of India, Ms. Droupadi Murmu, who they ornamentally have put in there and project that we have put in a woman from an ST community, was not invited, not even once. I mean, Parliament was inaugurated twice, but Honorable President was not invited even once. So these people who are trying to put up a case for the BJP might as well want to answer these very relevant questions which pose the public of this country today. And of course, as you are asking, where does this start? Where does this end? I'm sure you would agree, and so would your viewers and any well-thinking, well-meaning person, that the federal structure of this country was never under so much attack, was never threatened so much as it is today. Because we know what is at the heart of the whole ideology of the BJP and the RSS, like they have imposed these wrongfully amended criminal laws. They also wanted to wrongfully amend.
I have to go to Karunanandi, but Manish, go ahead. Manish, make your point very quickly. Manish Barrier, go ahead, please.
I think it again boils down to the same thing. The Congress party has never been a very good sympathizer of scheduled tribes. So when they find a scheduled tribe as the first citizen of the country, obviously, they have a problem. Vis-a-vis that, if you look at, and I have a lot of respect for the former president of the country, she was a woman. And I would like to say that what qualification did she have to be the president of the country, right, apart from that being a former congressman?
Why was
please do not lecture what you do not practice. Right? Congress has never practiced something which they lecture about.
Okay.
So,
BJP sympathizer.
Let me just come in at this point. Okay, all right, panelists, we've given you the time. We've allowed you to make your points. Karunanandi, now let's just look at what the situation is currently. There was a conference that happened. There were governors that came in. The conference was attended by the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. The messaging was very clear. Let the governor be a public figure. Let him be seen more active. Let there be more intervention. Let him not only be active, let him be seen more active, and that was very important. Not only just as a spectator, stand in whenever required. Now, I'm trying to understand. On one hand, it is, well, fair enough. If you're doing a job, let that be seen professionally also. That's how the messaging goes. But was that what the constitutional position was? And a statement like this, without any boundaries drawn, could possibly add to the confusion. Is there a possibility of that? And the chaos?
You see, you've kind of hit the nail on the head, because the governor is meant to act under the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and they actually are not supposed to act independently to such an extent, except in aid of the Constitution, right? So when the state legislature, when is passing laws, and the governors are sitting on it, and in a number of cases, when there's a tussle over the functioning of universities, disagreements over vice chancellor appointments, accusations by a large number of states saying that they are attempting to run parallel governments. In that context, to say that you must independently reach out to people is not a good look, at the very least. But when we look at the concrete nature of what is going on, and then I think the view may shift to the cases in the Supreme Court. There are two cases at the moment that are being looked at actively. Well, notice has been issued in the Kerala case and in the West Bengal case. But for a whole year,
Correct.
The union government's act of essentially annulling a Supreme Court order where they don't really have the jurisdiction to do so, for a whole year, the court has not been able to look at it. So I think that the main tussle, it's not about optics. It's very, very real. This is a question of whether the chief minister that you voted for, the MP that you voted for, the party that you voted for, the democracy that you are a part of in your individual state, to what extent is it fructifying? And that is a matter of some deep worry.
Okay, my last
Can I make a
question
short point?
to Mr. Vivek and then to Mr. Binay.
Yes.
Okay,
Can I
Manish,
make a
go
short
ahead.
point?
Go ahead, Mr. Manish Beriyar. Go ahead, quickly.
Yeah. See,
30 seconds
what I
less than
wanted,
that, please.
Very shortly, what I wanted to just submit that, the framers of our constitution were very intelligent and they were pretty mature. The duality of powers in our constitution, I think, was deliberately put to keep checks and balances. And this is something which one has to consider when considering
Thankfully, you are praising the
various
Congress.
facets of our constitution. And this conflict is something which is a part and parcel of our constitution.
All right.
So,
okay, no, I get your point.
Which is one has to really
Sure.
take care of.
I'm out of time, but I have to take this last question. Mr. Vivek, very quickly, my question to you. So, on one hand, the chief minister seemed to have a free rein when it comes to being able to publicly represent, publicly speak, publicly engage with people. The other side often is that there has to be a shroud of secrecy. There seems to be, they are within the walls, far from the public. A conference that seems to bridge that gap. Why is that being seen as a problem is what the BJP is asking. It's a simple thing in 2024 India.
Yes, it is right. It is being seen as a problem because the governor is not supposed to run the administration of the state. The governor is the representative of the Honorable President of India as a coordinator. That is the way the constitution has been framed. He or she need not go to the public directly and start canvassing for a particular bill, a particular university, and start expressing their views directly into the public. That will be interference in the working of the administration of the state government. The constitution is very clear. What the present government is trying to do is, they are saying now in case of opposition, if we are not able to win the elections and have a chief minister of our own party, then we are going to run it via the governor. The way they are trying to do it through the LG in Delhi and create chaos and in many other states. So that is the problem. Yes.
Okay, I'm out of time.
Yeah.
Binay Singh, very quickly, if you can come in, respond to what Mr. Vivek is saying. And you know, there was a time when there used to be this question of being a rubber stamp, of being an agent versus being a representative. That shift is quite beyond now. It's no longer a debate of sorts for that. I mean, that's a debate of the past, isn't it, Binay Singh?
Sneha, you know what the real shift is in the BJP ruled government. The real shift is that what Mr. Vivek just said, that he has problem with being a RSS member appointed as a governor. Because earlier, you know, Maoist sympathizers, terrorist sympathizers, they were appointed as governors. The real problem is that, and the real shift in this governance model is that. And they don't have the problem with the role of the governor. They have the problem with the governor itself. You clearly say that you don't want the governors. You want a governor-free
Unfortunately, I'll have to get a response to that. Advocate Mahima Singh, you have a right to respond to that. Very quickly, I can give you 30 seconds, not more than that.
You see, the BJP and its sympathizers and supporters make all sorts of audacious comments and remarks. And we are very used to that. And this one also, because our Honorable LOP, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, has been time and again pointing towards the fact that not only governors, but all institutional constitutional heads are hailing from the RSS of late for the last 10 years. During the Congress rule, you can please pick up the lists, go and research a little. You will find out that the nominated members of parliament, that the governors came from immense credibility, of their respective resource. So that's a matter of research, and we can have another discussion about that.
Mr. Hamid Ansari, don't forget that.
Please do not pick and choose. Let's look at it widely.
Okay, all right.
If it was one RSS nominee or two,
he's led to killing of so many raw agents. Don't you know that?
What we are saying today is...
All right, okay, I'm totally out of time at this point. To our panelists, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Binay Singh, as well as Ms. Mahima. All right, Ms. Mahima. All right, Ms. Mahima, Advocate Mahima Singh, as well as to Mr. Binay Singh, thank you very much for joining us. To all of our panelists, Manish Bariyar, as well as Karuna Nandi and Vivek Srivastav included, you've made a lot, but I don't think we've seen the last word on this issue. There's so much more that's going to happen, and unfortunately what seems to be a stalemate between the centre and the opposition rules states has not seen an end, and governors really seem to be at the heart of it. Thank you very much for joining us, to our panelists and to our viewers.